Alabama and Clemson, Part 3. It's the rubber match, except this time they're facing each other in the national semifinals instead of the championship game. Brendan Albert is here. I am Adrian Fedke. At some of these playoff games, some of these New Year's Six games, maybe give you guys a couple other games that we like on this bowl schedule. So, Brendan, how's it going, man?
Doing good, man. This is my favorite time of the year. I love the college bowl season, especially for me because I'm such a big draft guy. This is really when you really start to get an idea of, all right, who is going to be high draft value and who are guys that just had one or two good games during the regular season.
I will go and watch every single bowl game. I'm not lying to you. I go and watch all of them, even the shitty ones. You know, I like to DVR and then just kind of go through each play so I can watch the game in like an hour. But even the Gasparilla Bowl between Temple and Florida International, you know, I'll be watching that, baby.
Super excited about that. I'm actually going to be at that bowl game, so I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, I'm with you, Adrian. People there. That's right. I'll be in Tropicana Field. That'd be more people that normally go to a Devil Rays game.
That's true.
But, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Really excited about it.
All right, so let's quickly delve into this matchup. Alabama and Clemson meeting for the third time in the last 3 years. So what are you kind of seeing here? Who does this kind of favor? And do you agree with Alabama being in over Ohio State?
There's no question in my mind, yes, Alabama deserves to be in over Ohio State. So let's just get that off the board. The truth is, if Alabama would have lost to Auburn, this wouldn't be a big deal. No one would have this as a confusion. Genius, but 2 losses is more losses than 1 loss. That's what it comes down to, simple said. And if you really want to argue about, oh, well, Alabama played Mercer. Have you watched a UNLV football game? Because Ohio State scheduled UNLV, and they lost to a Division I AA school. Oh, well, they played Mercer. Because if you had to bet your salary on Ohio State or Alabama to win you a game, I'm willing to – most people are going to put the money on Alabama. So the best team's getting in.
Yeah, I agree.
So Bama's in for the right reason. You agree with that?
Absolutely. And even when you watched Ohio State against Wisconsin, I wasn't exactly impressed by Ohio State. I wasn't impressed by J.T. Barrett missing open receivers all night. I wasn't impressed by it. So I would absolutely take Alabama. Actually, to be honest with you, I think the best team in the Big Ten is actually Penn State. Is that crazy?
It's not crazy. I wouldn't say that. I think the thing with Ohio State is they're that roller coaster. When they're clicking, they're firing all cylinders. They're really good, but when they're not,
yeah.
So overall, I think Bama is the best team. But to go back to your earlier question, Adrian, this is not the same Clemson team we've seen in the past. When you watch Kelly Bryant run, he's a little more of a physical runner than people give credit for.
Yeah,
be a little more physical, and honestly, that favors Bama. Bama wants to get you in the phone booth and make it a black and blue game. And to be honest, Bama to win the national championship. And I say that because Bama's going to be obviously the most physical team. They're also the most rested team. SEC week, they got an extra bye week. You want to give Coach Saban an extra week to practice and a pissed-off Alabama team? Yeah, I got Bama here over Clemson.
Okay. So you've got Damian Harris, Bo Scarborough, Jalen Hurts, all over 500 yards rushing this season. Bama 11th in the country, averaging 265.3 yards per game. So you look at Clemson, because that defensive line, you got Farrell, Lawrence, Wilkins. These guys are ferocious. So one of the better run-stuffing teams. So that's what it's going to come down to is that, and then also the point of Kelly Bryant. Can he be as physical as that Alabama defense? So, man, I'm kind of with you. I think Alabama is winning it all.
I think that's where I like. When I'm looking at Bama, you know, they certainly are always going to be the physical team. Defense, they have a first-round talent guy. That's typical what Alabama does. Offensively, I'm a big Harris fan. I think he's very, very underrated running back. You know, came into the year, Bo Scarborough was supposed to be the dude, the most NFL rating of all those backs. I don't think he's a round one guy. He's probably a 2-3 type of guy, but he can certainly make an impact. Kane was a big receiver there for them. Had kind of an up and down year. This is not a very good wide receiver class, so he could be one of those guys who we don't talk a lot about. All of a sudden comes to the combine, tests really well, and now we're looking at him. And there in Alabama's really, or excuse me, Clemson is really freaking good too, loaded with NFL talent as well.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the other game, since we don't want to spend too much time on this bowl preview, because we also have the film study to do with the Eagles game. So Ohio State, what the fuck am I talking about? Georgia taking on Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield going up against that defense. Going up. So what are you thinking there? Who wins that game?
This is tough for me because I have a couple buddies who are on the Georgia staff. So I usually pull for the dogs. I'm gonna put money down on the guy who's not a freshman quarterback. So I'll put my money on Oklahoma and Baker here. As much as an easy game as people think, especially if Oklahoma can't stop the run, Georgia's gonna run it right down their freaking throat if they're allowed to. And if Oklahoma stops the run, Oklahoma's gonna be able to win this game.
Yeah. I also look at it. It's going to be a nice matchup watching Baker Mayfield go against Roquan Smith. So his ability to get sideline to sideline, lots of speed. Obviously, Mayfield likes to scramble and kind of move around. So that's a matchup to watch there. Kind of maybe playing a little bit of a spiral.
100% agree, Adrian. That's the best matchup that we're going to see on both of these sides here. I'm a huge Roquan Smith fan.
Yeah.
I absolutely think he's a top 10 level talent as a linebacker. What is he going to weigh in at the combine? There have been reports come out that say he's closer to 215, 220. Then there's reports saying he's playing at 240. There's a big difference there. Yeah. He is exactly what you want for that speed linebacker, can play a ton of coverage, and that will be crucial at what he gets drafted.
Yep. And Baker Mayfield comes into this game. He's red hot, 18 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the month of November, I believe. Fourth highest scoring attack in the nation. Oklahoma boasting 44.9 points per game. So going that offense against that defense is going to be a lot of fun. And also, we'll see what the Georgia rushers can do against Orlando Brown. A big mammoth tackle, 6'8", like 360. So if they have some speed to maybe exploit Brown, that's the way to go there. But Oklahoma's offensive line has been tremendous all season.
No doubt. When we go back and you watch that Georgia Notre Dame tape, get after Notre Dame's quarterback. I would say Notre Dame probably has the best left tackle draft prospect in the country. Not one of them. And they were getting around him no problem. So I agree with you, Adrian. That's a very, very good point. The nice thing, Baker, very similar to Russell, he can make plays happen with his feet that he really shouldn't. And I think by the time we're watching this game, Baker Mayfield is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner this year.
Do you see Baker Mayfield doing anything in the NFL?
Man, this is so hard for me. It depends on where you read. A guy I really like a ton, he said that he thinks Baker is an undrafted free agent, which I don't see. I've seen draft prospects that he's going to slide in the first round. I've never seen a quarterback polar opposite, written about him. I think people on the lazy side of things are going to say, well, he reminds us a lot of Johnny Manziel. And I think when you look at the stat, I see that Johnny had a lot more off-the-field issues. Yeah, Baker does have that one arrest issues and alcohol issues. So I don't think that's a fair comparison. I wouldn't take Baker until the end of the second, personally. I know he's a great college player. I wouldn't take him till the middle second later. If you want to fall in love with him and take him in the first, okay. Very end of the first round, similar to what a lot of teams did when they trade up to try to get guys, in the last round of that first round in the past.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how he pans out, because it is lazy to say Johnny Manziel. It reminds me of how they play, but the off-the-field thing is different because Johnny is he obviously got into the drugs and he got into that habit. So a lot different there. But in terms of how they play, the way they scramble around, obviously not the biggest guys in the world. So you look at that, and I'm sure teams will have him undrafted because they're going to look at the Johnny Manziel thing. They're going to think he's the same guy.
Yeah, and I think that's a very fair kind of concern, to have with his skill style. He's going to be one of those guys that, the nice thing for him is being able to perform at the highest level. And, the same things you could say about a lot of these quarterbacks, they're able to say, you know what, I'm a winner. And I'm getting my team to the Final Four opportunities. And hopefully for Baker's sake, he's got 2 more games to show NFL scouts that he can do this in the highest level.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think is going to happen? Who's going to be playing in the final?
I think we're going to have Oklahoma and Bama in the finals. I think we're going to see Oklahoma win it all. No, I'll take it back. I'm going to take Bama. I'm going to take Bama to win it all. Coach Saban's defense typically has struggled with those dual threat guys. I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Bama. I think they're going to be really motivated more than ever. They have an extra week of health against Coach Saban, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm with you there. I'm taking Bama. If Bama never lost, I think everybody would be taking Bama. So that's the funny thing about all this. But now they're almost seen as underdogs in a way. But they're favored to beat Clemson, aren't they?
Yeah, Vegas actually has Alabama as the favorite to win it all too.
Wow. Okay, makes sense. I mean, we just said it, so there you go. All right, some of these other New Year's 6 matchups. Which is your favorite of the other ones?
I'm going to go with Ohio State. And I think I picked this one because when I look at the Ohio State team, NFL talent.
Yeah.
Everywhere over. I'm a big fan of Ward, their defensive back. I think he's probably the best this year. I think JT Barrett doesn't get as much NFL draft buzz as he deserves. He's a guy, I would draft him probably in the 3rd or 4th round. And you know what? We could see him coming out and be the best quarterback. So you look at that. And then for me, sneaky good, Ronald Jones, running back of USC.
Yeah.
Good. He honestly is the best player on USC's team. Yes, he's better than Darby. A lot of people are than their prize quarterback. Quarterbacks are always going to go 1-2 in the draft. That's just the value of the position on this team. He's the best player for USC. I want to see what he can do against Ohio State.
Yeah, I want to see what Sam Darnold can do against Ohio State too. Because obviously hasn't been a good season for him. You look at that Ohio State secondary. They allow only 183 yards per game, I believe the number is. You look at Denzel Ward. You talked about him already. And the other guys have kind of played better as the season went along. Obviously, last year, you had Conley and Ward and Lattimore. So to fill in those cat shoes, Damon Arnett, Kendall Sheffield, they've improved as the season has gone on. Arnett has had some problems this year, but he's gotten better. So what do you think about the rest of that secondary? Do you think they've been okay?
I think they've been okay. I think both of these teams you could argue were underachieving. You get 55 put up on you by Iowa. That's not exactly successful for Ohio State. Yeah. And USC came in as a very, very highly ranked team. Executed as much as sure they end up winning the Pac-12. But it wasn't exactly a really tough sledding for them. I mean, losing that Washington State game was really bad, especially how Darnold looked horrific in that game too. So I think both of these teams have NFL players who kind of need to prove that they played for it does not impact how talented they are.
Yeah. This is definitely the sexiest game that's not a semifinal. I agree with that. Very intriguing on paper. The other one, I am looking forward to see what Saquon Barkley can do against Washington's defense. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's a good one. A kind of interesting thing was Saquon wasn't even in the finalists for the Heisman.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the Heisman Trophy. Heisman Trophy doesn't determine how talented a player really is. There's tons of guys who've been the Heisman hunt who never really panned out in the NFL. But Saquon is the best draft pick in the NFL coming out. There's no doubt in my mind. He should be the number 1 overall pick. But quarterbacks, the values there is always higher. That's a great one, Adrian. He's got some ground to pick up to make sure people know I am the best player in this draft.
Yeah. The other matchups, we've got Central Florida against Auburn. Auburn reeling after that loss in the SEC championship. So who knows if they're even going to be motivated to play UCF. So we'll see about that one. The other ones, we've got what's the other game? Geez, help me out, Brendan. I'm blanking.
On our Big Ears Day?
Yeah, I believe so.
We got some games. UCF one is going to be a good one. I think people don't understand how good that UCF team is.
Very, very, very good. I'm just concerned about is Auburn motivated to play this game? Do they care?
Fair. I mean, I can't argue it. You know, I mean, that's especially you're losing your head coach. And I will say this, I think that Scott Frost did everything the right way, how he left the program. Problem with that. The other ones we have on New Year's Day, we have Notre Dame and LSU. I think Geis, that's a big opportunity for him to run the ball there for LSU. He's a guy that came in as the number 2 back. He's kind of, missed a couple of games, if any. I still think he's a top 20 talent in this NFL draft. Going against Notre Dame will be a good test for him.
Yeah. Wisconsin, Miami, that's the game I was blanking on. I couldn't think of Miami. We have quickly forgotten about Miami.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I grew up watching Miami and loving them, loving the attitude and the confidence they played with, but trouble here. I think Wisconsin's going to beat them. When you look at all those games Miami was winning, it's because they were turning over. They were being +3 usually in the turnover margin, and then beating teams senseless because they had the ball more, the ball all over often. So I think that doesn't set up for success for what Miami wants to do. So I got Wisconsin there.
Yeah, the numbers there, I wrote down. I don't. Okay, here we go. Second in the country in turnovers forced. There you go. And obviously Wisconsin, they're a team that likes to run the ball a lot, control the clock. They're top 5 in the country, I believe, in time of possession. And they make you one-dimensional defensively because they like to stop the run and make you throw it. And they're one of the best in covering the pass in the country as well. So Wisconsin, I like them as well. Yeah, I'm with you. Miami, I'm just, I'm not seeing it lately. So
I just think it's a bad matchup. If Miami was going to play a team who wanted to throw the ball, be a little more aggressive on offense, I think Miami would take full advantage of that. Very conservative, very slow the ball, run the ball down your throat like Big Ten football typically is. That doesn't favor Miami in this matchup.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll kind of throw a couple other games out there, and then we'll kind of get off. So the game that I have in mind that I want to see is the Liberty Bowl between Iowa State and Memphis, just to kind of throw an under-the-radar one. You got 2 great receivers in this one, in Lazard of Iowa State and Miller on Memphis. So that's one to keep an eye on. Anything else you want to say about any of the bowl games?
I love that Miller pick, guys. He's probably he's going to be Antonio Brown when we talk about him from now until draft day. He's going to win the forget what the exact word is, but essentially the player who went from a walk-on to being the best player, earning that status.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a second, third round guy because he is still a little fella. Up 10+ receptions, 130 yards, and multiple touchdowns in your conference championship game. Dude's a baller. I love everything about him. Whoever's drafting in that middle of the second round, you should circle him because he's going to be a complete stud for you.
There you go.
I have 2 receivers I kind of want to highlight here with their bowl games. So first one I want to talk about is Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma State and James Washington. Washington came into the year hyped up to be the number 1 receiver. It's been pretty MIA. Mason Rudolph, also a quarterback there, who was supposed to be, get a lot of love, hasn't really, lived up to that hype. Both of those guys need to make some money in this bowl game and play well. Historically, is a very, very good defense. So if they're to, really perform well on a defense like Virginia Tech, I think that's going to be
Sorry about that.
No worries. And then my under the radar from SMU. Cortland Sutton is one of those American receivers, from the American Conference who doesn't get a lot of notoriety because he doesn't play in the Power 5. easily be one of those top receivers coming out of the draft. I think you guys, if you've noticed a trend, I've talked a ton about receivers because to me, the receiver position is the one that's most up in the air for who the number one receiver is. We knew who the top 2 receivers were going to be. Clue. I think that's very, very important going into bowl week. We keep an eye on those names here.
I've got a name too. He's a quarterback. I don't know if he has any draft stock or not, but I like Logan Woodside at Toledo. And they're going to play Appalachian State in the Dollar General Bowl. Woodside, they kind of run this back Big 12 type of spreadish attack. And Woodside's got some great touch on his long ball. Do you know anything about Woodside?
Yeah, I mean, when you starting to play in those type of offense, Memphis is another great one. You know, with their quarterback situation, they're going to put up really eye-popping numbers. But don't fall in love with numbers, guys. Don't do it, okay? Because if numbers mattered to NFL GMs, then Texas Tech would have the number 1 draft pick every single year and it'd be their quarterback, okay? So don't fall in love with the numbers. Sure, they're eye-popping and there's something to keep an eye on, but these are the guys that when they go into Luke Falk, Mason Rudolph, other great examples here, their biggest thing in the combine. It's not going to be their pro day. It's going to be those one-on-one interviews. How do they do memorizing coverages? How do they do memorizing plays and being able to recite things like that? Those wide-open offenses, most of the time, those quarterbacks are getting to the line and doing this. Hey, coach, what's the play? And coach is signaling it in. Okay, well, coach told me what to do. So their type of offenses are slowly taking away the thinking for those quarterbacks, which is not what you want in an NFL quarterback. Be an NFL draft pick, guys, but it's all going to come down to how he does in those interviews. And the truth is, we'll never really know that.
Yeah. When I look at a quarterback, I want to see the ball placement. The yards, I completely agree with you. Yards don't really mean anything sometimes. I mean, you look at what Carson Wentz did against Seattle. It was like 369 passing yards, but he had 2 throws that he missed, and then he had the fumble, and that was 17 points he left on the field. And then the other thing I look at is if you have, you know, because Case Keenum has been actually we're deriving from our bowl show, so I'm not going to get into it. Case Keenum is a subject. I'm not a fan of Case Keenum's, but there we go. All right. You know what else I want to see? Bryce Love against TCU's defense.
That's another good one. Coach Patterson there in TCU is historically a pretty good defense. Obviously struggled pretty heavily playing against Baker this year. But Bryce Love is a guy, he played really well against SC despite being dinged up. Hopefully he can get healthy and see what he's got.
Yeah. I got nothing else besides that. I can't think of any more games off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of like what the worst game is. The worst game might honestly be the one that Temple's in.
Man, there's some. There's some that you look at. I mean, at a bowl game, some people are like, oh, being 500 is good enough to be in a bowl. Well, I mean, if you're playing in the SEC West and you're, you know, Ole Miss or one of those Mississippi schools and you're able to win 6-6, I think this is fine. So I think I'm just excited about bowls, you know, because in the end, I'm never going to watch a UAB Ohio game, but this is the time of the year I will.
Exactly. That's why I like it. And you can evaluate some of the lower tier prospects. It's a way to do that. I like the bowl season. Now I'm with you on the 6-6 thing because I saw a 5-7 North Texas in a bowl game last year. And that to me is like ridiculous. A 5-7 freaking Sun Belt team, or actually they're in Conference USA now, but still. So that's
sure.
The shit I don't like.
I get it. Not an argument there with those kind of exceptions.
Yeah. But I love bowl season. I love that they have like 40-something games, and I don't even know the names to half of these bowls anymore. The Gasparilla Bowl, bitches. Oh,
there's some great one. My all-time favorite was the San Diego Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. That's been since renamed, so we'll see. I know this year it's the St. Pete Gasparilla Bad Boys Bowl.
Oh, Jesus.
Good one. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, the names keep changing, you know, but the venues stay the same.
Yeah.
Because St. Petersburg Bowl has become like 10 different names. Beef O'Brady's, like all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Sponsorships change, so the money changes, so the names change.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right, so we're going to end this one. This is our bowl preview. Brendan Albert, I'm Adrian Fetju. We're going to do our film study right now. That's what we're going to do. So I'll have that uploaded later. We're going to do that on Zoom right now, and this live stream is up for you guys. So tune in and check it out. Peace.
Appreciate it.